Hello, very nice to be with you today. A great crowd. Hope you had a great lunch also. My name is Vladimir Ghita, Vlad for short. I will also have a slide with my presentation. Yes, it's already on. As mentioned, I would like to talk to you today about a security operations center that can ideally be be enhanced using artificial intelligence. We have a very short, this doesn't work? Oh, great. So we have a great agenda for today, a small introduction, some general ideas about artificial intelligence, which perhaps you already know, but it's nice to go through them nonetheless. And then I will go through some ideas concerning the way in which artificial intelligence can help a security operations center work better. Basically, we will be discussing about machine learning and natural language processing. And at the end, we will be discussing a blueprint, a way in which this type of security operations center can be configured and can be used by companies worldwide. A short introduction on my part. As mentioned, my name is Vladimir Ghita. You can call me Vlad. This is the way in which everybody addresses me. I think I have a good experience in terms of IT and also in terms of cybersecurity. I had the chance since 7 years ago to manage a cybersecurity company that is called Fort, and I really enjoy discussing about cloud and AI. Our company is really dynamic. We are part of an IT group from Romania that is called Bitnet, and we try to provide, and we actually provide cutting-edge solutions and services to our customers that are in need of cybersecurity. The reason because of which I'm here today is because I discussed with my colleagues, and we have reached the conclusion that the world has changed and that somehow we need to address this change in terms of the risks and the things that need to be done for a company to become resilient in terms of cybersecurity. Basically, risks are increasing each day, and we are seeing that there is a high demand of cybersecurity experts that need to respond to security incidents. This is the reason because of which a company would like to implement a security operations center. And basically, just a short overview of the things that a security operations center should do. We're talking about alert evaluation based on the alerts that are being generated by various IT systems. Then identify the threats based on those alerts. Identify also the cleanup in which the alerts and the threats can be neutralized, and then tell the management and the chief information security officer what has happened and how the company should be protected in the future. The thing is that AI can give automation, and it can basically provide cybersecurity experts with time back from their day-to-day activities. So let's discuss a little bit how the implementation of AI in a security operations center can look like. A quick overview on AI. In 1950, Alan Turing did the Turing test. Perhaps you have already seen this information in the past, but basically it was a way of determining if a machine can be intelligent or not. The term artificial intelligence was used first in 1955. Then we're talking about Elisa, which was the first chatbot used as a psychotherapist. Then we are going into the chess environment. In 1997, Deep Blue won against Garry Kasparov, probably a bad day for Gary. And then in 2017, AlphaGo won a match against the world champion. And then 2022 came along with ChatGPT, which was a huge advance in terms of artificial intelligence. I'm thinking that probably more than 90% of the crowd here today has already used OpenAI in certain projects, in certain things for their day-to-day activities. Also, it would be nice to discuss after the presentation about what has happened with the CEO of the company, because as far as I understand, he came back to the company today, so it was like a novel that happened in the past 5 days. But basically, ChatGPT has changed the game. This is a nice comparison that we have made together with my team, because we feel that ChatGPT is like an iPhone in terms of usage and functionality, and it also has the added benefit of being free by comparison with an iPhone, but it more or less has revolutionized the way in which we use AI, and we feel that that large companies are starting to try and create better AI tools, just like back in the day when a lot of phone manufacturers tried to copy the iPhone. Given this information, it's nice to discuss a little bit about how things can work with AI in cybersecurity. Of course, we can do realistic phishing emails to train employees. Again, probably this is something that some of you have already done. We can use data in order to create malware. We can reverse engineer malware using AI. We can do some sort of battling bots that can fight out certain technical things between various machines. And of course, we can try to do end-to-end penetration testing. I know this is an idea that probably seems to be very revolutionary and might not be really accurate currently, because our penetration testers don't really agree with this statement. But at the end of the day, a lot of producers of cybersecurity solutions say that they are able to do penetration testing based on artificial intelligence, so probably this is a discussion that should be made. Unfortunately, also cyber criminals abuse AI. They can do social engineering, password hacking, deepfakes, and data poisoning using artificial intelligence tools. This is something that, of course, you are aware of, but it's nice to have it all on a single slide, because also the good guys and the bad guys have the power now to be better at their work. Now, going specific, getting into more specific things in terms of a security operations center, we believe that there are two main AI branches that can be deployed when we're talking about a SOC service. We have machine learning and pattern recognition on the one hand, and on the other hand, we have natural language processing. Both types of AI are really useful when we're talking about a security operations center. Why should we try to deploy AI in a security operations center? Well, because we have some cybersecurity specialists that are currently doing SOC services, and everybody is saying, oh my God, it's really not nice what we're currently doing. We have a lot of alerts. We need to investigate them. We don't know which ones are true and which ones are false. It's not such a very interesting thing to do. It's repetitive, it's boring. I want to change my job. It takes too long. It's not nice. I would like to do something else. So this leads to a problem in the industry, that we have a lack of skilled analysts, and it takes too long to train a new staff because it's not such an easy job to do. We believe that since the first thing that a SOC analyst has to do is to triage alerts, AI can help, and AI can help a lot. But what AI cannot do is completely eliminate the need for a human mind, because as a colleague of mine, Stefan, very correctly mentioned here, it takes a mind to hunt a mind. So you cannot fully eliminate the need of cybersecurity specialists when we're talking about a security operations center. You can just basically do their life easier. I mentioned earlier that machine learning and pattern recognition are the first thing that you can do with AI in terms of a security operations center. Basically, here we're talking about collecting information from a network and from data assets in order to identify a behavior. So here we are collecting a lot of logs, and based on those logs, we deploy statistical analysis methods to interpret the data set and establish a baseline. The idea being that once new logs are being collected, if they differ greatly from the established baseline, it means that the system that we are monitoring has some sort of a problem. As I said, basically we rely on CM events that we collect and that we process, and we enrich them with this pattern baseline. And this helps us, and analysts have to train the model by evaluating the generated alerts with true or false. And in this manner, the artificial intelligence engine is able to be better at creating predictions. Of course, the end result would be that we provide some sort of a prediction in the future, and we analyze those predictions in order to ideally identify threats before they occur. And this enables organizations to create some sort of a preventive measure prior to any threat being actually deployed within the network. And it also helps us as SOC engineers to prioritize threats in order to focus on the threats that are really relevant and not just go through a long list of alerts and incidents that usually takes a long time. Going to natural language processing, to NLP, basically this is, I think, the most nice functionality that you can deploy using AI in a security operations center, because it goes something like this. When you're trying to search for an event using a technical query, the way in which you would normally do it is like this. So when you are typically using a tool in order to search for events, you have to do a really complicated search string. And using AI, you can just use natural language and say, okay, show me critical events from a certain network that have appeared in the last 30 days. This is much more intuitive, and it allows SOC security operations centers to function with resources that are not highly skilled. So you can basically do this query without making many mistakes. This type of idea of translating queries into natural language processing is something that can be used in all SOC operations. Unfortunately, the only thing that you need to take care of is data. So regardless of the algorithm that you have, it's not as if you will be deploying good AI solutions if you don't have a lot of data. In our experience, it takes a long time to collect this data, but once you have it, most probably the artificial intelligence solution that you deploy will be really, really nice. Again, data ingestion is another way, direction in which natural language processing can help, because you can maintain changes in the logs after you are parsing them, and any deviation can lead to missing key information. So data ingestion is really something that can be used in order to onboard easier new clients in the monitoring cycle, because again you can use this sort of natural language processing for data import. For example, you can say to a system, import all critical event logs from a network each second. This is far easier to do by comparison with a scenario in which you have to configure a lot of things in order to get data into the SOC systems. Again, threat hunting, this is really something very nice. You have to detect things, but you also have to discover and understand what has become of a threat and how did it affect the environment in which it has appeared. And going again from a similar search string, we can use NLP to author a correlation rule which will detect the suspicious activity of disabling the Windows Defender service, for example. So again, really easy to use by comparison with a search string that is cumbersome and that takes also some skill to know, because as you can see here, you have to know the process name and and additional information concerning the way in which Windows Defender works, by comparison with the NLP solution, when basically you just need to know what you are looking for and not necessarily have a lot of knowledge concerning the way in which the system works. Again, you can use, in terms of threat hunting, NLP to examine, for example, the last 90 days of logs. I think you get the picture. Basically, you can translate what you need to do in a simple string, and then the system just takes care of the rest. I know what you're going to say. It takes a long time to write down this sentence, examine the last 19 days of logs, but at the end of the day, you can do prediction on sentence writing, so it really takes a couple of seconds to write everything down. Last but not least, since you are all technical people, I'm assuming that you enjoy very much writing documentation and writing documents. NLP, again, is something that can be helpful because, for example, if you have some sort of a system that has 4 types of information related to a single story, as it was called in this slide, you can use NLP, create a document, create a draft document that can describe the story, review it, and just send it back to the customer or to your supervisor in order to document what has happened with a threat. So this is highly easy to do, and it takes really less time by comparison with just writing everything down. A short blueprint in order to deploy everything that I have said, and this is something that we are currently doing at Fort. Basically, first you need to do some sort of a design. You have to have an architecture, and you have to design the system that in a way that will allow you to identify the type of data that needs to be analyzed, the type of threats that you want to detect, and to have a level of automation for incident response. Then you have to have a great AI algorithm, and this is the step that we are using a lot in order to create a great SOC service for our customers. You have to be aware about data sources that you want to use, about performance metrics, and of course we also do continuous improvement, monitor for performance issues, update the algorithms that are used by our AI tool, and do some analysis for training. This is helpful because you are able to achieve better results in a smaller period of time. We also deploy SOC as a service. I think that you have already uncovered this about our company. This is basically what we are currently doing, and all the presentations that I have made until now are based on our own experience. So we have a great set of activities that we deploy in order to have cyber monitoring. We do triage, of course, and artificial intelligence in order to be better at our work. And this is pretty much about it. I think that we have like 10 minutes. I have to go back? I can go back, no problem. I think that we have like 10 minutes left. I tried to, 10 minutes or more? 8 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. I tried to have the last 5 to 10 minutes for a short Q&A session. So if you would like to ask me something, it would be my pleasure to respond.
Well, while talking about cybersecurity and AI, there's always one fear that, for example, when you want to use AI regarding your code for evaluation or how to say it, to bring cybersecurity closer through an AI, the developers are usually afraid because the AI might steal their code, and store it in the database. So how would you see, a middle way for this part in order to use both AI and not be afraid of it stealing our code?
In my opinion, a lot of our code has not been stolen, but can be replicated to some extent by an AI engine. So basically the premise that if you use AI, you will have some issues because your code will be stolen is not something to be mindful of, because it basically can already happen without you writing any line of code. But I understand the thought that somebody can steal your intellectual property, basically. And the only thing that I can say to this is, if this is an issue for somebody, then that somebody should not use ChatGPT, for example. They should try to create their own artificial intelligence engine that can do basically what ChatGPT does, but probably to a lower extent. For example, for our SOC service, we don't use publicly available AI solutions. We have our own models because we have their customer data, and we don't want it to be not stolen, but we don't want anybody to have access to it. So if this is an issue, then you have to create your own AI engine. Unfortunately, that's the only other solution. Or stop using AI in the beginning. I mean, this is also something that you can do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too for the question.
Thank you. We have another question over here.
Thank you for your presentation. So part of my question was answered by your answer. My current question is what language model did you fine-tune in-house? I think it has to be a multimodal language model because you mentioned that example with the graph. So the language model can generate.
In all honesty, this question should be sent to my more technical colleagues. I am not really able to answer you right now, but if you want, we can discuss after the presentation or later today, and I can put you in contact with the guys that have thought about the system, and they can provide all the technical details that are required, because it's not something that is easy for me to explain, to be in all honesty. So we can discuss after the presentation without any issue, and we can debate on language models that can be used.
Hi. So you said that day to day it saves you a lot of time. So what is the biggest win in time saving using AI in your experience?
Well, thanks for the question. I think there are two wins here. Basically, by using AI, we are able to better use our high-end resources, meaning that they are able to tackle more complicated things rather than focus on unmeaningful tasks. And this way we are able to be more productive in our work. Also, on the other hand, it helps us to create better resources in a faster period of time, because if they have access to a system that more or less is able to respond to certain things without any exterior intervention, it helps them to understand better what's going on and again become better at their job. So everybody wins, I think, when you are trying to use some sort of an AI solution. The best resources get a lot of time back, and the resources that are at their beginning of their career have a better chance of succeeding by using some sort of AI tool.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Hi. Do you have any example of stories created by your tool?
Of course, we have examples and stories, but unfortunately, some stories and examples should not be explained in such a public manner because data is highly sensitive. But again, after the presentation, we can discuss in a more private setting, and I can share you these stories if it's interesting for you.
I mean, there's a lot of similar tools that can do this type of activity. Why is yours better?
Okay. If the idea is to compare what we have done with other tools on the market, the answer is that everybody is doing AI, but basically AI has to be proven that it works. And it's not something that I can share with you on a slide. You have to see it for yourself to believe it. For now, the only thing that you can basically believe is that I'm telling the truth and that we are doing what I'm saying that we're doing. Of course, there are other tools that do more or less the same thing, but the comparison could be marginal, you know, so it's not something that I can say, okay, we are better than any other tool that is doing security operations center automation. I myself know a lot of tools that do that. It's just that we are trying to be not the best, but a top solution. So you have to see it to believe it, basically. Thank you for the question. Very nice idea. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Do you think that in the future AI will be a co-pilot for SOC analysts, or they will fully replace SOC analysts?
For sure, co-pilot. Thank you for the question, but for sure, a co-pilot. You cannot replace a human being when we're talking about cybersecurity, given the current technology that we have. It's virtually impossible. This is what I believe. I mean, you can you can use AI as a co-pilot, but it's impossible right now to replace a human being in all aspects of cybersecurity, not just security operations center, also pen testing and other things.
Yeah, but right now, but in the future, who knows?
You know, if I was able to predict the future, I would have won the lottery by now. I cannot answer this question. I'm sorry. Currently, I don't think you can do it. If we're thinking about Terminator, if the technology will go in that direction, it might work. But right now, unfortunately not. It might be the case, and this is why I mentioned earlier about ChatGPT. I'm not sure if the problem concerning the leave of management and the coming back was generated by some sort of an ethical issue. I mean, it might be the case that ChatGPT number 5 is like a mini Terminator, and this is why the management was laid off somehow. But until this is proven, the only thing that I can say is that we have a co-pilot like Microsoft has already the co-pilot for their cloud services. So this is also what we're doing with AI in Security Operations Center.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
So thanks for the talk, by the way. My question is, what do you think about the tech singularity? And in terms of, for example, there is the recent news that Boston Dynamics is using OpenAI in order to, to give some brain to their machines. And what's your opinion about the future of these kind of combinations, like what it can lead to?
If we're talking about a cooperation between AI and the machine, basically we will be discussing about Terminators, right? I mean, at a certain period in time, it might be the case that Arnold Schwarzenegger will come in and will say, I'll be back. But currently, I believe that technology is at a level that will probably allow you to create some sort of robot that can do housekeeping. I mean, it will not be able to have a mind of its own, but rather address the environment it is in based on previous experiences. It will not be able to make decisions based on intuitions like we do, and based on certain logical conceptions that human brains are able to have. And this is the main reason because of which I said earlier that it's more or less impossible right now to do cybersecurity without a human mind, because we have a lot of imagination and we rely also on intuition in order to find certain things, and machines are not there yet. And I don't understand how it can go to that level without basically finding another way to do computations, because I believe that the current chips and the way in which the industry works doesn't really allow that sort of complexity to be generated by computers. However, quantum computing could be a solution, but that's like unused right now basically, so we don't have a lot of data to work with. We will have to see what the future brings. Perhaps at DefCamp 2028, I will be here again and I will tell you another story. But right now, I think that AI and robots put together will just be able to interact with the environment based on previous experiences and based on the way in which they were programmed. They will not be able to decide by themselves what to do.
Thanks.
Thank you too.
Hi. What about relying too much on AI to have our back in terms of Security Operations Center? Relying too much on AI and maybe missing some real threats?
That would be a mistake. For sure, that would be a mistake. I don't have a good opinion on that, meaning that I'm hoping that that will not happen. It is a risk indeed, but this basically depends on the people that are using AI in order to drive the SOC tasks. So typically this shouldn't happen. It's a risk, and I'm thinking that it can only be mitigated by operational procedures, basically, because I don't have any other way of determining if SOC analysts are doing their job, or if they are just saying, okay, AI said everything is fine, I will go to sleep. This doesn't work, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that using some sort of a procedural way, SOC analysts will be able to be monitored, and if any reliance in terms of AI generates problems, I'm hoping that we will be able to mitigate them as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
I was more curious about your solution. Did your team manage to build a model where it predicts the number of certain incidents?
Sorry, the number of?
The number of incidents in a day.
No, no. This is, for sure you can imagine if you have, I don't know, a normal infrastructure with, I don't know, 3 servers and 2 firewalls. On a normal day, you have 5 incidents. But if you're talking about an attack made by an external force, you will have a lot more to deal with. So it's really hard to say, okay, I will have just 5 or 10. And this is also, I believe, not really an AI topic, but more of a probabilistic analysis that needs to be done, because you have a lot of data in the past and you are able to somehow predict the future based on that data. So it's not really machine learning. It's more, okay, I have some data, probably the trend will be the following. So, but no, this is not something that we have been focusing on until now.
Thanks.
Thank you too.